So,
Yeah.
what are some changes that the Green Party do you think could bring?
Well, I think we could bring a fresh perspective on things. I think Peter Bevan Baker's done a good job of moving the party, making it a more well-rounded party. So the environment is still a big part of it, but now I think we have a lot to offer economically and for the primary industries such as fishing and farming and for rural people. Yes, we want to really give more voice to rural islanders, which is what drew me in.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that leads me to my first question, and commonly heard throughout campaigning is it's all about the people. Do you believe that the choices people make and the attitudes that they have are the catalyst for rural community success or failure?
I'd say definitely for success. I think rural islanders really need to voice their concerns and also work together. We need a lot of collaboration to um, really get our point across to government. We saw what happened with the school closure process. Everybody banded together with the We
Mhm.
the West movement, and
Yes,
that was very powerful.
it was. And
Yeah.
you've been involved actually with the chamber for over a year. You had to step down from board of directors.
Yes.
Do you think that the West Prince Chamber has been making a difference in the business community? Have they brought any kind of new collaborations that you have seen over the last year?
Yeah, definitely. I know for for me in particular, with Tignish Dinner Theatre, some people didn't really see it as a business,
Yes.
but so we joined the chamber to get that notoriety, I guess, or to show that we actually were a legitimate business. So I think that is big in itself, just being able to bring that business community together. And I learned a lot about businesses that I didn't know existed.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you, as far as, so you talked a little bit about rural development. Does the Green Party have any plans as far as rural development and growth?
Yeah, we one of the things we want to look at is taking the Department of Rural and Regional Development and actually dissolving that department and creating a rural secretariat to work among all departments. So to
Okay.
voice concerns of rural islanders in fishing and farming and energy, so just across the board.
All right.
And also for unincorporated areas, we would like to look at creating an independent citizens council. So basically a council, almost like a town council for for unincorporated areas to be able to voice the concerns of those rural islanders who traditionally haven't had much of a voice.
We haven't.
No.
No, we haven't had much of a voice. We have a great Holland College building, state-of-the-art building in Alberton that is underutilized. How can government help identify trades programs or new business technology that would address the skilled labor shortage in our region?
Right. So what the Green Party would like to do is look at what trades are out there that are in high demand and really uh, market those trades to the students to kind of show them that this is an option where there's probably a good chance of getting a job and even looking at potentially subsidizing those going into those areas.
Yes, well, that would actually be my next question. I'm talking about, and even well, maybe before we get to that, the free tuition or subsidized tuition to be an option for youth or even attracting international students. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think it's a great idea. I if we want to meet the demand for the trades that are out there, I know just in West Prince, the construction industry has been booming
Hmm.
lately, and I've talked to some people who have a hard time filling some jobs. So being able to meet that demand will help our contractors, help our
Hmm.
welding shops, help the trades in general.
So, how do you think government could work with the high schools in partnership and collaboration to get these students into the college programs to kind of meet some of these demands in the construction?
Right. Well, I think the career education course that was put in grade 10 a couple of years ago is it was good, but I think it'd be really good to use that as a platform to really talk about these options that are
Mm-hmm.
out there because I find a lot of people are still thinking, well, I have to go to university, I have to go
Mm-hmm.
become this, become that.
It seems to be
All
the
right.
push. So, do you think there should be? Do you think offering free or subsidized tuition would be an option to retain our youth or attract even international students?
Yeah, I think so. Because, like I said earlier, if we want to fill those gaps, fill those vacant positions, I know people really need construction laborers, like I mentioned. That might be a good way to do so, just subsidizing and giving some incentives to move in that direction.
Economy is growing.
Yeah. Right.
So, do you think that business organizations like the West Prince Chamber of Commerce should have some form of sustained funding to do what we do?
I think so. As you mentioned, I was on the board for about a year or so before I had to step down for this
Yes.
venture for sure. But I I got to see firsthand the job and the work that goes into, well, the work that you do, first of all, and the work that goes into attracting members and providing services. Um, and just like I said, getting that exposure for businesses. One thing that the Green Party has in its platform is adding supports for nonprofit organizations. So I know the chamber would fall under that umbrella. So I believe by 2019, 2020, we'd like to have 2.5 million available to spread out to nonprofits, and then that's going to gradually increase a bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. And I think that's we have a lot of nonprofits.
Mhm.
Probably over. So what are your thoughts on attracting physicians to rural communities, and what changes do you think need to take place?
Right. Well, one of the things the Green Party wants to look at is doctor remuneration, so doctor pay,
Yes.
and what we can do to potentially attract doctors here by looking at that. But also, just getting back to my Chamber of Commerce time, I know that the chamber was uh, kind of in conversation with
West Prince Health.
West Prince
Yes.
Health,
Yeah, we held that.
and I think that might be key in attracting physicians is reaching out to those community organizations and kind of collaborating
Yes.
to.
We were actually able to kind of identify, quite a few things as far as making not only the physicians attracting them to the area, but making their families feel welcome and engaged in communities, which is a critical piece.
Definitely.
When anybody moves anywhere, you want the family to fit in also.
Definitely.
Definitely.
And
All
then
right.
I'll just add in another thing we're looking at in the meantime as well is allowing nurse practitioners and pharmacists to work to their full scope of practice.
Okay.
Um, just because they can kind of help fill that gap.
Oh, they can.
Yeah.
I seen one the other day.
Thank
Things
you.
you're hearing out there.
Healthcare is probably the number one issue that I'm hearing at the door.
Okay.
And that seems to be quite common in all parts of my district.
All right.
So that will be a priority of
Mainly
us moving forward.
doctors?
Doctor shortages
Okay.
is one of them, and this is services provided in the long wait times to access whether it's an emergency room or different specialists throughout the island. So with the doctor shortages, I know we have 2 doctors that are signed up and starting this year here in the Alberton area. We are working with the community, with the healthcare center in Tignish, and with the recruitment office of the Department of Health to
'Cause your
replace Dr. Fox,
That's right, Dr.
who's
Fox
leaving
will
in
be leaving.
September.
That's right.
So right now we're kind of entertaining 2 doctors
Oh, good.
who we hope to move to the area.
Okay.
They're impressed with the health center in Tignish and
So
that they're
any issues
have a
you hear
computerized
around
form.
transportation as far as doctor's appointments or anything? Anybody with transportation?
I haven't heard that specifically
Okay.
about transportation
Okay.
with doctor's appointments. I know that we have a program to help seniors or low-income individuals to access doctor's appointments if it was in Charlottetown. And one of our on our platform now we're going to do free bridge passes
Okay.
and free ambulance
Yes, I did see
transfers.
that.
So that's something that will help, especially the low to moderate incomes and those individuals who are living on a fixed income.
Okay, very good. So it's all about the people, is you're commonly heard throughout the campaigning. And do you believe that the choices people make and their attitudes that they have are the catalyst for rural community success or failure?
I think people in what my plan and the Liberal plan is to, of course, promote West Prince. And I think promoting West Prince is probably the biggest thing that we can do. We have an environment here that will foster new business and sustain businesses that are already established. Our government has proven that the economy is very important, and we've made great steps forward in building our economy and creating that environment so businesses can be successful. We need to do more to promote West Prince and promote the businesses that are here. We have some tremendous success stories here in West Prince. Trout River Industries, for instance. You can drive down the road and see their product. You can see it not only in Prince Edward Island, but all over the world.
And helping them. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. We need to do all we can to support
That's right.
and promote not only our region, but the local success stories that are here
That's right.
to enhance the possibility that maybe individuals or former islanders to come back to the island to work from home. But in order to do that, one of the issues is access to high-speed internet.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm happy that our government is put forward a $74 million plan to bring high-speed internet to over 30,000 homes and businesses throughout the island,
Mm-hmm.
and this will help this area especially.
All right. So, speaking of the Holland College,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts on how we could identify some trade programs or new business technology that would kind of address that skilled labor shortage in our region?
I think as a government, we always have to be speaking with all the stakeholders, with communities, with the business sector, and seeking out what is needed in the industries,
Mhm.
right? So what jobs are available, and match that with programs that Holland College can offer. And we need to do more to promote that and to encourage that. There's an endless amount of possibilities for high school students, but they need to be made aware of what's out there and the potential to get a good education and get a good job right here in West Prince. We all grew up here, and I want my kids to grow up here and experience the same lifestyle because we do have a lot to offer.
We do.
And I do hear from people who were born and raised here, who may have moved to different parts of Canada,
Right.
who want to come back and raise their family here.
That's right.
So we need to create that environment, lure them back, and give them that opportunity to work and to raise their families here in Wisconsin. I'm 100% on board for
Very
that.
good.
So we have to work again, like use the stakeholders,
Mhm.
because we always have to work in a collaborative effort
Yes.
with communities, with businesses, and with government, and with individuals.
Mhm.
That we have to do all that we can to promote and to grow West Prince. This is a part of the island that I'm very proud to live in. And I go back to the success stories that we already have. I mean, we have some international companies right here in West Prince. One of the largest employers west of Simon Park is Royal Star.
Yes.
And they're an international success story,
That's right.
along with previously mentioned Trout River Industries.
Yep.
So it can be done.
It can.
It can be
Yes.
done.
Well, one last question today,
Sure.
and probably something you may be hearing a lot from people when you go around is the mixed member proportional, the MMP. I think O'Leary is offering a session this weekend, or I think it's Saturday night. I seen it on Facebook
Right.
last night. The yes and no, there'll be somebody there to kind of help people figure out what they're doing. Do you feel that the people have been educated enough, and would you like to share any of your thoughts? And
This has been an issue at the door for probably 10 to 15% of my constituents.
okay.
And it was more around just asking my opinion. But what I put back on them is I want them to have all the information so they can make an informed decision. They should be making that choice as to how they want to elect a government
Yes.
from here forward. So I try not to impose my own personal opinion on what
Educating
what
them,
it
making
is,
them understand.
but giving them the education they need, and I think they have access to all the information that they need,
Okay.
and I give them direction to that information if they don't have it already.